everybody, and welcome to episode 250 of the Orbiting Pod, an official podcast from Eisner Award-winning Orbital Comics, situated in 8 Great Newport Street, London. And as you have no doubt heard, that's where I've captured a crowd of people who are hoping that applauding vigorously will break the chains they're currently in. But until then, they will be our live audience. My name is Michael Eckett, and I will be your host tonight for the 250th episode of our regular comic book-themed game show that we do every episode. Attempting to take home the grand prize today are 3 contestants. Faster than a speeding bullet, it's Adam Sharif. More powerful than a locomotive, it's Amy Garvey. And able to leap a small fence if you give him enough of a run-up. No, really, he can do it. Ask his mate Chaz, he was there. It's Robin Harmon.
Love you, Robin!
Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael.
It says here on my professional game show host cards that you once successfully freed S Club Juniors from a giant hamster cage and won a Britney Spears cardboard cutout for your troubles.
I absolutely did, yeah. 100% true.
That's
How
100%.
recently was this?
Not that recently.
And were they still juniors?
They were. I believe it was my 13th or 14th birthday.
You got them for your 13th birthday?
Yeah, it was organised specially for that.
Why the giant hamster cage?
So I was on Saturday Morning Live or Saturday Kicking Live. One of those
Live
kids.
and Kicking?
Live and Kicking.
What?
And they did an episode where they recorded in BBC Scotland studios, and they would get studio audiences of local school kids.
That's brilliant.
And it happened to be on my birthday the day when they were recording, so they picked me to be one of the contestants on the games. And S Club Juniors were the guests of honour, and they put them in this giant hamster cage.
Was there a reason it was a hamster cage? Like were they running in a wheel to generate electricity?
No.
And when you got them out, did a small town lose power?
It did not, unfortunately.
No.
There wasn't a tiny model village that hamsters actually were living in, and then the trams went dead. No, I think it was just a terrible pun. It was like Hamster Hotel, and I had to pick a key. Totally random. Lots of skill involved.
I like the dissonance between freeing S Club Juniors and getting a Britney Spears cardboard cutout.
I mean, I also got a PlayStation and the Britney Spears dance game,
right,
but also a cardboard cutout of it.
Forget the cardboard.
I sold that cardboard cutout to a guy in my year for £10.
I bet he still got it.
In fairness, I think it was he was a closeted young man who loved Britney Spears, not wanted to perv over Britney Spears.
That's
so
okay.
It was more innocent.
Yeah, that's cool. Have I ever told you about my weirdest incident with a cardboard cutout?
No, please tell us.
So when I used to walk to university, which was a long walk, and I passed I think it must have been a House of Ambassador or something, because there was an armed guard outside, which is really weird. You don't see those a lot in London. But one time I was walking down that same road with the armed guard, and I looked through one of the windows on the other side of the road, and there was a cardboard cutout of Taj Mowry from the TV show Smart Guy. Now, if you don't know, Taj Mowry is the younger brother of Tia and Tamira Mowry from the hit show Sister Sister. And Smart Guy was his spin-off show where he was a 10-year-old genius. Why there was a cardboard cutout of him a decade, 15 years later, in someone's house, I don't know. I could only imagine it was in Home Alone. Those robbers are afraid of a 10-year-old kid, and because he tries to murder them. And that's just a regular 10-year-old kid. So imagine if there was a super genius 10-year-old kid in a house. I imagine it was just to put off potential burglars. And that's why they had a cardboard cutout of Taj Mowry. That's 100% true.
I mean, that's as update a reference as Home Alone would have been, so, clearly on the same wavelength.
As with every episode, we'll be playing a number of themed rounds with different styles of questions. Which of the common rounds that we play are you hoping to get?
To me?
Yeah, to you.
I'm hoping to get the round where we match the lettering example to the letterer.
Should have done that.
No, that sounds far too hard.
That is so good.
Very, really good. Robin Harmon is also playing today. Robin, your great-great-uncle was Martin Coles Harmon, a businessman who in 1925 bought the island of Lundy, which lies in the Bristol Channel. He declared himself King of Lundy, issued the half and one puffin coins, and stamped his portrait on them. He was found guilty by the House of Lords for issuing illegal coinage and was fined £5.
This is very true.
My first question, was he allowed to pay with his puffin coins?
Exclusively with those coins. So it took quite a while, quite a few boatloads to get them across to the mainland. But as soon as it got to the mainland, he didn't care. He just kind of just dumped them there and hoped that they would pick them up.
Yeah. Did he have to use quite a lot, considering they were essentially worthless?
Like
So he was,
20,000 puffins.
he was basically just like paying in the weight of the coins.
It was the copper was the real valuable
Yeah.
thing there,
Like the
yeah.
future of the pound coin.
Yeah. Who has Succession moved down to? Like, are you going to get a letter one day telling you that you've got a castle in Lundy?
I really hope so, because I love I want to be Lord of Lundy, though, because I like the alliteration better.
Okay,
So,
that's what happens.
comic book podcast.
Adam,
Hi.
I have in my notes that you're the official portrait artist of Princess Charlene of Monaco. Is that true?
Yeah. So,
I mean, okay. This is good.
when I was like a baby, we lived in the south of France, and my parents knew the Monaco regents. And although I cannot draw, I'm a commissioned photographer. So, yeah,
It's great. Thanks for playing along with that.
I mean, all of the above is true. So,
I guess I just guessed that one.
yep.
Yeah. All right, those are today's contestants. I'm sure you're now more familiar with them and we've all learnt a lot. I'm sure everyone has their favourite, and I've actually already received some fan mail for one of them. It's an email from my mum. Which reads, "Go Amy!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
I feel buoyed by this.
Yeah, good. I have a sneaking suspicion that actually Adam might win today.
Oh.
I mean,
So-
he's literally doing a PhD on comic book history, so...
Yeah.
Is it a comic book history show?
No, it's a comic book nonsense show made,
Okay.
run by an idiot.
I am good at nonsense.
So maybe knowing things might not put you in a good position.
Fine.
All right. We're going to start the game with the round we start with every show, and that is facts about the number of what this episode is. So that's facts about the number 250. I'm going to ask you a question about the number 250, and you're going to have to try and guess what the answer to it is. There were surprisingly few facts about the number 250 on Wikipedia, so some of these may be loosely stretching the term fact. 250 is actually a Mandarin slang term, which means what? Yeah, you're going to have to figure it out. So yeah, 250 in Mandarin is also not only the number 250, but it is a slang term for something.
A goose.
A goose? Amy?
A blowjob.
Oh. Well, we've definitely got that adult rating on
I can change my
Apple
answer.
Podcast. It's fine. Robin?
I was going to say, like, Loch Ness, because of the shape of it.
Oh, it's none of those things.
Okay.
No one gets a point. It's a Mandarin slang term, which means stupid person or simpleton. In ancient China, copper coins with the little holes in them were grouped together, strung into units of 1,000 as a unit of currency. And then modest Chinese scholars called themselves 500 coins because, to be self-deprecating, they don't want to say, I'm a full 1,000, they're a 500. And on the other hand, 250 they use as an insult because they're like, you're half a genius, which means
Sick
stupid
burn,
person.
Mandarin academics.
I'd be happy being half a genius.
Yeah, all right.
Like, you're nearly there?
I guess I just don't get the nuances of Mandarin.
Why did I think they would have a thing for Loch Ness?
Yeah, actually, I
Yeah.
thought that was really clever when you said it, but actually it was incredibly dumb.
I'm a 250.
Yes.
Yeah, you are 250. Let's see who will not be a 250 today. The number of 250 was the number of men rebelling against Moses from the Bible, who, what?
That is the most vague wording of a question.
So basically, these men were doing a thing and they were rebelling against him?
Something happened to them because they were rebelling.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Good. Think of a punishment. Think of an old-timey God punishment. I don't know. Anyone read the Bible? Stuff happens.
Nah.
Bad things happen. Sometimes. Do you know this?
I can't remember.
Okay.
They had to go up and down a mountain that
Up
many
and down
times?
a mountain from Robin.
They were put in a box with some locusts. That's a Bible thing.
That's the movie Saw.
I don't watch horror films.
And
Forced to read comics by J.T. Kroll.
it's none of those things. 0 points all around. They were swallowed up by a fire.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's one of those holy fires and not like a cute little anthropomorphic fire like Calcifer in Howl's Moving Castle, which would have been a lot more entertaining. And I feel like the Bible should be rewritten to suit my needs. 250 AD, so I'm stretching 250 to be about years, is where we have the earliest Chinese references to a device known as the Emperor's South-Pointing Carriage. What do you think the Emperor's south-pointing carriage is?
I'm going to go against form
Okay.
and say a compass.
Oh.
A carriage set up so that he could escape the castle in case there was an invasion.
Okay.
See, I don't know. I'm stuck in between the two now. It's how he transported his butter.
Oh.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Amy-
Spotter, obviously.
It's actually kind of a combination between Adam's and Amy's. It was a compass-like device which didn't use magnetism to point towards any direction, but it was preset with a number of cogs. And then you would move this carriage, and if it turned left or right, the cogs would turn in combination with that, and just keep the thing that was pointing in the direction you wanted it in to stay in that direction. So you could always move north through a series of cogs. I don't know how accurate it was. So I'm going to give Amy a point for a compass. Woo!
I'm so glad I didn't make a dirty joke.
But what lubricated those cogs?
Oh, Robin, you're just...
Probably not butter. Guys,
Yeah.
250 is the number of double what?
125.
You all get a chance.
I thought this is like, no.
The ready money round.
Yeah, I've heard your answer.
I got nothing better than that.
You got nothing better. You can say it as well.
Jeopardy.
The number of double jeopardy.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it's actually 250 is the number of double downs from KFC that I can eat before I get sick. No one guessed that.
That explains the bathroom last week.
250 is the number of what? Rapid fire.
What we want this podcast episode to be when it's really 249.
Ah.
The number of downloads we want this podcast to have.
That's conservative.
The number of hours I'm going to
Sure.
spend editing this.
Probably. The number of pictures Michael has of Oscar Isaac on his hard drive. 250 is half what? Amy? You guys don't need to answer. I can just keep riffing.
Okay.
Okay, 250 is half the person Oscar Isaac is, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. All right.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac once swam 250 what to do what?
Lengths of a pool to raise money for disabled dogs.
Oh, I bet he would.
Yeah, he's good like that.
Yep.
Some Star Warsy unit of measurement.
Okay.
Parsecs.
Yeah. 250 parsecs to do something.
Save a Wookiee.
Save a Wookiee.
Skin a Wookiee.
Robin.
Oceans, just because he could.
Oh, I like that. No. Oscar Isaac once swam 250 metres under the sea to fight a sea monster and save the world. In my book, The Day Oscar Isaac Defeated the Sea Monster, and then married Michael and Amy, by which I don't mean married like a registrar, but in a polyamorous relationship kind of way. Look soon for my sequel, Oscar Isaac Helps Michael with His Story Title Problems. That's the end of the facts round.